They continue to garner millions of views and spread niche drama to a wider audience within only a couple hours. Some stories are absolutely worth breaking, as they deal with immensely heavy accusations with proof of offense, but sometimes the reporting falls into a dangerously deceptive territory. The issue with this trend lies within the creators and what form of quasi-journalism they offer out as content. Those that feature biased opinions or only one side of the story without proper research are usually considered drama channels that one should take with a grain of salt. But
Okay,
more and more creators are trying
that.
to label themselves as news channels, a one-stop shop for mindless consumption while stories are still developing. While this is an ongoing issue within the YouTube community as a whole with seemingly no solution, let's zoom way into ours, the VTuber community.
Yay!
Are VTuber news channels scummy for the reasons mentioned above? Well, it's a two-way street, a yes and a no.
Yes!
But I'll
I
spare
think
you
yes
the
now.
long-winded meandering around it and just come out and say it. No,
No!
I don't think VTuber
No!
news as we have it is the worst thing to grace this platform. In fact, there are a lot of benefits to it. But that doesn't mean it's absolved of the previous issue that their content largely parades mistakes and hate around for clicks and views.
Okay, yeah, that's
Hey
true.
now, don't be so hasty to click off this video because what I just said sounds like the most nothing burger take you've ever heard. There's clear pros and cons to the news genre, and I'll be explaining it from the point of view of a creator.
You might be wondering, hey, here's an interesting video. Wait, I can't read the chat right now because I have to switch screens and I don't want you to see that. So hold on. So again, the reason why I'm talking about this video in particular, even though it's like 2 years old now, is because the video I'm going to release after the stream is related to this topic. And specifically, a lot has happened within the drama and news channel sort of vibe in the VTubing sphere since this video. And I think some views have really changed. And I think in this video, it's mainly going to be like positive, like, yeah, we need commentary, we need news reports. And I still agree with that sentiment. But now a lot of the reporting has started to become a lot more like tabloid, paparazzi, sort of making a story just to have something to post. And it's like, you know, who really gives a shit? But you'll watch it anyway. And that's like a myriad of channels. So I think specifically in this video, I only talk about False and Kyo because they were the only really big news tubers at the time. But obviously now there's been like a big boom of commentary channels and news and drama channels. So we'll listen to this first and then I'll like argue my points and then you'll get like the full context in the next after the stream in the next video, okay? Hi.
News is and always will be an immensely important part of society, whether it's to celebrate marginalized communities' W's or to discuss the capitalistic undercurrents of the world we live in. Within the VTuber community in specific, where the indie scene is more expansive than every agency combined, where laws and regulations have yet to protect and prosecute creators in all the facets we are beginning to see emerge, we can only rely on ourselves to spread awareness of situations that come to light. In all honesty, how many of you would have been aware of the insane things Walker has done to their company talents if not for False or Kyo reporting on it consistently?
Me?
I'll be 100, I never would have found out otherwise.
Oh.
Before I began my
about
journey as a VTuber, I had known next to nothing about the happenings of the indie circle, much less the tiny Nugu agencies. That's right, I snuck in a K-pop term. Even with something as big and shocking as that, it would have flown under the radar
these
in most of
transitions
the
are
community,
so bad.
or the scale would be largely misunderstood due to many of the talents of Walker releasing Spanish or Japanese statements rather than English. Beyond just controversies though, news channels have taken to promoting fellow VTuber debuts, free asset creations,
this is good.
and
I like
celebrations
this.
as a way of putting more eyes on smaller creators.
This is good.
Many of whom aren't lucky enough to grace everyone's Twitter timeline through the algorithm alone. In truth, nothing lasts on the internet for more than a few hours these days. We are an ever-changing, ever-growing, ever-fucking-up big-time niche to the point where the start of the year feels like a century ago by the time we get to December. In such a case, it is highly necessary to have documentation of it all. We need unbiased records of how the world was a month, 6 months, 2 years ago, so we can fully understand the growth of technology and the social climate.
Once again, Niji Sanji is I wouldn't say competitor so much, it's just simply another large, quote-unquote, corporate group for VTubers. We'll see what comes out of that, hopefully soon.
That was a cute clip. I thought it was funny.
I've mentioned False ID and Kyo earlier. To my knowledge, they are the top news outlets for the VTuber circle, and have proven to hold documentation of major stories that corporations would risk their public reputation to erase. Ahem! What they're doing is vital. And while I can't say I vouch for a lot of Kyo's heavily biased videos, he is still sharing screenshots and relevant information where—
I'm gonna pause there. Well, as you can see, obviously things have definitely changed, like the biased and unbiased news source. And I think there's a lot more of critiquing I could do, not just on Kyo, but on like the general newscape. But I did mention before that like I really enjoyed like learning about the indie stuff, like the good things that happen in the indie sphere. And like I feel like that's always been neglected in the space. Like sometimes the album man would do it. I don't think not so much anymore, but like that was so good, and just people don't care about it. They like drama, and like that's why people like do this news stuff and drama stuff, because it gets so much clicks and it just highlights how bad everything is. But I will say, like, this point that I don't really highlight too much in this video, but I understand where I was going with this, is that drama coverage of like stupid shit, bad. Coverage of important news things that happen in the space, like Walkter, like the beginning of Niji Sanji and all that, good. And I think we should have these records for a long time on the internet, because, you know, a bunch of new fans don't know what happened, so you can just share, oh, look at this video. It has all the information you need, right? Whereas, like, in more recent months, a lot of people are just sort of pulling things that they see on Twitter go down, and they're like, I'm gonna make a video about it. Let's chronicleize the Shy Lily copycat. Like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? That has nothing to do with the VTuber space. It's just that one person, but it got so many clicks. Oh yeah, I'm gonna turn off this for a second so I can read chat, because I can't read chat right now. How much of your video from the past do you still agree with? Wait, okay, hold on, let me show it again. Boink. Okay. I generally, when it comes to like, do I agree with my old videos? Yes. Have I grown and like got better insight? Yes. Have things in the space changed? Yes. So it's like, you can still revisit like my old, like, oh, how to audition for Niji Sanji videos, how to audition for an agency videos. Like, those still have value if you're someone who has like never, you know, really explored VTubing and you want to learn more about the space. Like, yes, that has value. Is it up to date now that we know certain things about certain companies? No. Is that something you need to do your own research on? Yes, you know? So it's like, but most of the time when I'm watching old videos, I'm like, oh yeah, I still agree with that. I still believe in that. Am I better at making the point now than I was before? Hopefully. But yeah, generally I don't really go back on anything. I will say, one of the first videos that really popped off on my channel, that like, don't join an agency video, I think that was talking about Walkter mainly. I don't really remember what it was talking about. But it was like, I was talking really hard that all these smaller agencies are scams. Scam, it's a scam. And I think I wouldn't say things are scams now. Like, scam is pretty much just like tricking you out of your time and money and investment. And I don't think that's what those agencies were. I think they're just incompetent. Which is it's a slight difference, but it kind of results in the same thing. Like, you're out a couple $100 because you're investing money into this project and it doesn't go anywhere. But I wouldn't label them scams, you know? Yeah. But for the most part, I agree with everything past Liko has said. Okay, let's keep going.
It counts. We've all heard that history is written by the victors. This is also known as censorship. With the vast power disparity between the laymen, indie creators, and corporations, that erasure of community-reported issues could prove to be a game changer in how the VTuber sphere will operate in the future. Also, the VTuber community grows and loses fans all the time. Seemingly with every new wave debut or audition opening, the amount of new eyes increases or at least becomes more prominent. Those people will be naive, unknowing of the sketchy things agencies have done in the past.
Like, I agree with this.
And without having long-lasting videos that compile the facts and reactions from all sides, they would remain none the wiser.
I just want to say, this is like, I wanted to address this on my own accord.
I don't know if I can say that I'm in the state to wish her good luck on her future ahead.
This editing is so bad. I hope my editing was better, but like,
Even
I
if
was
you've
rushing.
been in the community for a while, for example, me, I've been here since 2020, some very significant pieces of drama have flown over my head, and yet the community continues to reference those stories in cryptic ways. One I've heard recently is that male VTubers have a bad reputation due to previous outliers that had been proven to be predatory and just bad people.
Shinji had found that Migi had been involved with at least 8 other women.
Where am I going with
5
this?
People on her Discord due to sexual misconduct. Sometimes
Where am I going with
toward
this?
minors.
All I had to do to find out about that situation from a year ago was to look up False's
I
video
see.
on
Okay.
it. And boom! Tons of sources and reactions from the moment.
This I don't quite agree with anymore. I get that, like, oh, you know, VTuber stereotypes happen for a reason, and here's like the story behind those sort of belief points, but why do we need to sensationalize things that happen with indies? Like, we don't really need to. You know, if it happens with like a big corporate streamer like Raito from Niji Sanji, yes, then you delete, you know, like then you post about it. But if it's just like a random person, if it's like another me, but like a boy version of me, and I do something on Twitter, why do we need to sensationalize that? Why do we need to post it on like 400 channels and Reddit and doc sites? You know, like, we don't need to do that. Like, people are shitty. We're indies. We're indies. Anybody can be an indie. I don't understand why we need to farm views and stuff for indies. I don't get it. I don't get it anymore. You know? So I don't bat for this specific topic, but I understand, yes, in some cases it's good to have sources where you can look back on. But you have to make sure, is it unbiased? Is it biased? Am I getting the full, you know, story here? Is there updates? Things like that.
Were there for me to base my own judgment of the situation on. If I wanted to research more, I could directly type the tweet into Twitter to look up the original post. Or if the original tweet was deleted, I'd then be able to continue on to other websites to find more details using keyword searches.
Who does that?
Overall,
Nobody does that.
It's
Just
a
me, I'm a
very useful
weirdo.
source for at least discovering that situations exist, and even easier to throw the link out when someone makes naive yet inflammatory takes thereafter. But now that we know this, why are so many corporate VTubers upset and annoyed at VTuber news channels? Well, as I mentioned before, when there's nothing of note to talk about, news channels tend to devolve into drama channels.
Yes!
Reporting on Twitter drama is easy, and many people like following trending stories.
Exactly.
VTubers have been hit the hardest with these videos, where any small mistake or misspoken word on stream could be wrapped up in controversy and stain their reputation. One that I can remember particularly clearly is when Vox began heavily pandering to the gachikois before making a strongly worded tweet denouncing the parasociality of his fanbase when they started harassing Reimu for interrupting a stream. And I know I don't want to bring this issue back up either, but paraphrasing, Twitter had a field day with smearing his name with hypocrisy, and to this day, he hasn't been able to live it down given his continuous boyfriend experience content. I simply believe he makes harmless content like the ever-popular Drama City in Japan, but due to the live and close content interaction format of VTubing, the issue with gachikois is dramatically increased. What could usually be chalked up
Oh,
to Twitter being
these
Twitter
transitions are so
was
bad.
extended to an infinitely wider audience on YouTube, forever immortalized. And while people in the spotlight deserve to receive criticism if it's warranted, how long must it affect their careers if the transgression is on the lower scale?
Yeah,
To
exactly.
a creator, this can be devastating at worst and annoying at the very least. There will always be people who enter their chats or comments and throw shade regarding that mistake months after the fact. And just looking at any comment section under the videos that reported on the drama reveals the one-sided hatred towards the talent under fire. It's not a good thing to perpetuate, especially since there's no guarantee that the news channel will update the situation after the talent has apologized
that's a
or
big
does
one.
something
That's
to
a
change
big
their
one.
actions. And even if they do, there's no guarantee the people who saw the first video will see the next one. Keeping
Yes.
documentation is important, and VTubers who have controversies reported on will always dislike news channels.
Is it over?
These are two facts that will never cease to coexist. This divide is also seen in just regular viewers commenting black and white takes either in clear opposition or support of Niji striking false and Kyo's channels. You can't satisfy everyone, especially if people don't care or don't want to know about the various issues in their beloved safe haven from the real world.
Okay, we're gonna end it there just because I feel like we understand the gist of it. Hey. Let me move back. Okay. So, like, I agree with a lot of what I said in that video. There are some things that have changed about my stances on talking about not corporal related stuff, but generally, like, there's good points and bad points. I agree. Hold on, let me read chat because it's been a while. It's like when news outlets run out of relevant. Yeah, exactly. Does the VTuber community have a Florida man? I think his name is Sun Kenji. No, I like Kenji. How would you rate that video? You know what? Artistically, like the transitions and how nice it looks, probably like a 5. It's really not that good. But content-wise, I think it's like pretty good for debate, so I don't know, 7 out of 10? Like, I agree with some points, I disagree with some points. I think what I was doing back then was doing more like an open discussion sort of thing, where I like show both sides and I have people in the comment. Why does it look like I'm jerking something off?